It's, I think, made by Wisconsin Resource Protectors?
River Alliance.
River Alliance, gotcha.
Sometimes things that seem like a gift turn out to be something else entirely. Some might say sulfide mining brings jobs and an economic boost. But let's look at what history and science can teach us. Sulfide mining is the process of removing ores such as gold, copper, zinc, nickel, and silver from beneath the ground. In the mining process, deep pits are dug. They often need to be dewatered, which impacts surface waters, private wells, and aquatic critters. Cyanide, sulfuric acid, and heavy metals are all associated with the mining process, making it extremely toxic to humans and wildlife. In fact, a report from the US EPA shows that metal mining is America's most toxic industry, accounting for a whopping 37% of all toxics reported. Then the pollution starts. And keep in mind, there has yet to be a sulfide mine that has not polluted. Toxins leach from the mining waste and head for our drinking water and theirs. So how about the gift of jobs and boost to the local economy? Of course, everyone wants that, but in the case of sulfide mining, it's a real bait and switch. Mining communities across the U.S. are noted for high levels of unemployment, high poverty rates, and stagnant or declining populations. On top of that, mining in the U.S. is estimated to pollute up to 27 billion gallons of fresh water per year, forever. Someone has to pay to treat this water, and it won't be the mining companies. Taxpayers will face an estimated $57 to $67 billion per year, a debt our children and grandchildren will pay just to have clean water. So if someone tries to present sulfide mining as a gift to your state or community, tell them to hit the road. It's never been done safely and without polluting drinking water, killing wildlife, and leaving locals to pay for the mess. While mining companies get rich and ride off into the sunset.
Now we're going to have a PowerPoint presentation by Professor Gedicks, who is also the Executive Secretary of the Wisconsin Resource Protection Council. He'll do a really good job of explaining what we just learned, as well as provide some insight on the Back 40 mine that's coming in here in Wisconsin. You just want to let me know when you need slides moved.
I got a quick show of hands. How many people before they came tonight heard the term sulfide mining? Okay, you're the exception to the rule.
Today's Northland explorers Dave and Amy Freeman set out on a year-long voyage through the Boundary Waters New Area.
Some embarked on this journey to raise awareness about what they believe would be the environmental dangers of copper nickel mining in the area.
Also, the goal is to help educate others about the sulfide mining that is planned in the Boundary Waters area.
As exciting as that sounds.
So, you're an exceptional crowd. 99% of the public has never heard sulfide mining. They have heard gold mining, copper mining, gold mining, because that is what the industry does. That is what is profitable for the industry. It's not profitable for the industry to disclose the dirty secret of gold, copper, silver, nickel mining, which is sulfide ore wastes. Right? All of these metals are embedded in sulfide ore deposits. The vast majority of the rock that comes out of the ground is sulfide mineralization, mostly pyrite. When those sulfide minerals are brought to the surface, blasted, crushed, pulverized, exposed to air and water, they become sulfuric acid, and as you saw in the film, releases sulfuric acid, and that sulfuric acid in turn liquefies 26 different toxic metals. The most important from a health perspective are lead, arsenic, and mercury, all of which are toxic to both aquatic organisms as well as human beings, and they enter the food chain. They get bioconcentrated as you go up the food chain, and they become a health hazard, so that people in Wisconsin and the upper Midwest, especially pregnant women, are told not to eat the fish in half the lakes of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Minnesota because of all the mercury in the fish that is detrimental to the development of the fetus and young bodies that absorb the mercury and transform it into dangerous toxins that retard development, result in neuro damage to the brain. So that is why the mining industry has a vested interest in not disclosing what exactly sulfide mining is. But what they tell people is that this is a gold mine, you're going to profit from it. The record is disastrous on both counts. On the count of pollution, there's no sulfide mine that have not polluted surface and groundwater. On economics, there are very few communities that actually benefit from the jobs or the taxes that are generated by the activity, and there's a vast literature in social science that demonstrates that instead of solving poverty, it exacerbates poverty. In Rusk County, where we've had the only metallic sulfide mine in the state, the poverty levels, the unemployment levels, median income levels have remained constant throughout the entire mining process. Rusk County did not benefit 1 cent from that activity. In fact, now they are left with a mess that we'll talk about today. There are two things that make this discussion urgent. One is that tomorrow, the Assembly Committee is going to vote out of committee a bill that would repeal Wisconsin's historic sulfide mining moratorium. This is a major setback to a grassroots movement going back to the 1970s during the opposition to the Crandon mine, where Indian tribes, environmentalists, and conservationists not only stopped the Crandon sulfide mine, but also enacted what is known as Wisconsin's Prove It First mining moratorium law, which says that the state cannot grant a permit for metallic sulfide mining unless the applicant can show in the United States or Canada where they have mined in a sulfide ore body without contaminating groundwater or surface water. The industry says they can mine cleanly. The bill says, show us where you've done it. They have not been able to show us, not in Canada, not in the United States, not anywhere in the world where they've ever mined in a sulfide ore body without contaminating the environment. And so Wisconsin has a world-class gold standard of protection for the clean waters of northern Wisconsin, because under Wisconsin law, sulfide mining cannot be permitted unless the companies can show where they've done it safely. They've not been able to show that, and so the industry is now mounting an unprecedented campaign in terms of dollars, in terms of lobbyists, in terms of political chicanery to get a repeal of the mining moratorium law. So that's going to occur on the committee tomorrow. In the Assembly floor on Thursday, the Republican-dominated Assembly is going to pass it. The only chance we have of stopping it is in the Senate, which would consider the bill in late October, well, actually November 7th is the last day of the Senate deliberations. So no matter who your legislator is, no matter what district you're in, you should tell whoever represents you that this is an abomination to repeal a law that protects the clean water. And so my presentation tonight is going to try to tie the ongoing controversy at the Back 40 project on the Michigan-Wisconsin border with proposals and the experience of the Flambeau mine in Wisconsin, which is used as an example of a successful sulfide mining operation, which of course it is not. So the title then is Sulfide Mining, not copper, not gold. Even though gold and zinc are the metals that the company that wants to mine in the Upper Peninsula and on the Michigan border wants to extract, the people that will be directly impacted by this project are going to be the recipients of 64 million tons of sulfide mine wastes right next to the Menominee River. In fact, it's 150 feet from the edge of the pit to the Menominee River. One of the worst places you can put a sulfide open pit mine that has large amounts of waste material also associated with the extraction of the deposit. Next. So, Aquila Resources is the Canadian company. It's not even a mining company, it's an exploration company. It's in it for the profit. They're going to get, they have an agenda of getting a permit for the mine and then selling it to an actual mining company that has actual mining experience. It's all speculation. The entire project is based upon investors that think they're going to make a profit out of developing a permit, not developing a mine. This proposed mine is going to be one of the largest open pits in the upper Midwest, 2,000 feet wide, 2,500 feet long, 800 feet deep. 800 feet deep means 2.5 Statue of Liberties can fit in this pit. It is a very deep pit, and of course, if the entire pit is excavated, you're going to wind up with enormous amounts of waste material. For every ton of rock that comes out of that mine, 3 pounds will end up as zinc or gold. 1,997 pounds will end up as waste that will be crushed, pulverized, saturated with cyanide and other harmful chemicals, and deposited either on the surface or backfilled into the mine to leach into the Menominee River, either gradually or catastrophically all at once. The underground mine plans that have been submitted, the open pit mine plans that have been submitted to the Michigan authorities have not disclosed that there will be another 8 years, besides the 8 years of open pit, another 8 years of underground mining that they have not disclosed to Michigan regulators. They have disclosed that to their shareholders. People in the regulatory agencies in Michigan know perfectly well that the company plans an underground operation after the open pit, but there is no evaluation in the permit of the second half of the proposal, which is 8 years of underground mining. In other words, people in Michigan are being sold a bill of goods which deprives them of the ability to understand what the cumulative impacts of 8 years of both open pit and underground mining will be, because the information is not available because the company has withheld it. And instead of declaring the application as fraudulent, the DEQ, which is responsible for the Flint water crisis, is going ahead as if this is a reasonable and accurate portrayal of what the proposed project will do. Notice also, this is an artist's conception of the excavated pit. That's not what it looks like today. What it looks like today is all forest covered. If the open pit is excavated, it will be next to a floodplain. And in order to excavate the open pit, they will have to destroy untold acres of wetlands, which will further put